Okay, let's talk about the D&D Bard writing system. Now, the Bard one is going to be quite different. So, for example, this is the Wizard system, this is the Sorcerer one, and this is the Druid system. But Bards are a bit different, because the only magic they need is in the air tonight. Of course, caused by the harmonious interaction between their instruments and the weave. But we're not going to focus on theory, we're going to focus on how you write down Bard spells. Now, Bards are actually a really versatile class when it comes to how they cast, because there's so many different instruments. So I want to try and capture them all in 3 different systems. That's to make sure you have loads of different options so you can pick any one of these 3, so let's talk about them. The first is melodic. This is going to be anything where there's sort of a single voice in the instrument. And I think I'll probably just write that down in what I consider more standard music notation. Reminder to say thank you to my music teacher, so now I can draw this first time every time. And so spells would be a short musical phrase. Now you can change the dynamics, the rhythm, all of that for this melody. And these notes will be determined by the spell that you're playing. Now, what I find really tricky is how we're going to encapsulate everything in a simple melody, but I'm going to be working on that myself. Good luck to me, I guess. The second thing we're going to talk about is chordal. Okay, maybe I can't bash these out every time, but it's pretty close. This is mostly for instruments that can play chords, and I think the notes of these chords, which, you know, a chord in music is just whenever we have 2 or more notes, the notes of these chords will be determined by the spell. So basically each chord might be an attribute of the spell, so we end up with 6 chords. Because one of the tricky things for both the melodic and the chordal, and the third one that we'll talk about in a bit, is that we want this to be something that can be played pretty quickly, while also having enough creative space for you to actually make it sound good, because a programmatic music sequence is probably not going to be very nice. Which brings me to the final way we're going to do this. Rhythmic music. Now, you might be thinking this is just drums, but basically every instrument should have rhythm in it. And you can probably see that I am a singer and a pianist, and I am not a percussion person, so I've given up on that. We're just going to draw on one line for now because I get scared. This is where the rhythm of the piece will tell you what the attribute of the spell is. And what I think is really cool about the rhythm side is it can be applied to every instrument, and so everyone can kind of take that, write their own melody or their chords if they have that, and then use the rhythm instead. So the hope is when this is done, you'll be able to mix and match these different systems depending on what instrument you're using. I also think it might be quite a fun musical challenge to take these different elements and try and combine them. Maybe you're allowed to change the order around. Remember that the writing system is there as a memory aid for the caster, so there is a little bit more wiggle room than maybe wizards would typically give. And who gives more wiggle room than bards? Anyway, I've been the Grill of Destiny. I'm here all night, folks. Let me know what you think of this system in the comments. Okay, thank you, bye.